Thank you for watching this Last Mile Profits video.
Checkout is actually super important for the last mile. Keep watching to find out why.
Last Mile Profits is brought to you by Parcel Pending by Quadient.
Gary, isn't it interesting that the EU doesn't affect you in the UK now, but that talks about what you have to have on a label, you have to have a lot of information. And quite often, when we're clicking to buy something, we don't have information. This is the ecologically best option. This is the option that makes most sense. The reason I'm saying this is we're both fans of out of home because it's ecologically smart, it's economically smart and so on. And quite often, customers don't really get that highlighted. Have you found the same?
Well, I think quite often they're not even offered it at all. I think, which is even worse, that where even if you're given a carrier choice, and even if they have gone as far as explaining that this one is slightly greener than that one, or you can do your offset, the complication of getting lockers or shop as an option, it displayed on the checkout page is sometimes beyond a lot of retailers, and it just doesn't get done. So you're almost forced into home delivery and not given the choice that you want.
Which is, by the way, really interesting because one of the most important things, this is my Amazon hat from when I was there, for an e-tailer is to actually have a guaranteed sale. Now, to have a guaranteed sale, you need very high level of first-time delivery success because if you don't do that, things are delayed, people might buy elsewhere and just not pick up the item. And nothing works better than lockers or Pudos in terms of that first-time delivery. So honestly, I really fail, Gary, to see why any retailer would not actually promote lockers as an alternative.
Well, it might be because it's quite difficult. The most fought over page on the real estate of any website, as you've just said yourself, is the checkout page. People are loath to change it, but you can make a tiny change there and affect your conversion rate really quite heavily. So there's a lot of protection around it to make sure it works effectively, to make sure you get the click-through rates. You want to cut down abandonment. We've all seen the research about the number of people that abandon carts at that page. But a lot of the time they abandon it because the delivery option they want isn't offered. So I know through experience, and I'm doing a little bit of consulting work for another company that specializes in this area, but it's actually quite complex to surface those options on that checkout page. And a lot of retailers are wary to do it themselves, so therefore they don't bother. So I don't know what the percentage of checkout pages that have out-of-home options on them versus don't, but I bet it's still the minority actually have out-of-home as a choice if you do consider when you're buying an item.
The irony is that for an e-tailer, what is the difference between a retailer and an e-tailer? It's the last mile, it's the delivery, which is the single most important thing. And you're missing the options in that single most important thing, which I can't remember the exact figures now, but I remember around about 6 or 7 years ago, I was looking at preferences and out-of-home options were really not that big then. You get places now where people start understanding how out-of-home works and it's the preferred choice. So I honestly, Gary, fail to see how, even if it is a little bit more complicated, that any e-tailer wouldn't actually prioritize that for reasons of cost, for reasons of first-time delivery success, and for reasons exactly, I think, as you said, of customer choice.
Yeah, and I think it's building that relationship with the customer as well, isn't it? If somebody is used to finding a locker to do returns or going to a Pudo to do their re-commerce shipments, they're in the habit of using those locations. And it's far more sort of helpful to be able to do all your transactions at one place. So, but if you don't have that choice from the places where you normally shop, then you've got to kind of split your experience. You've got to try and get home delivery, which might not be convenient to you, or you're worried about the green element of it and you want to try and get vans off the road, which is what we all want ultimately. But if you're not offered it, it can be very, very frustrating. And the cost savings to the retailer aren't there either.
But it's amazing, though, because you've got some players that get it, like Amazon, who, I don't know if they still do it, but a couple of years ago, I think we were talking about it, they were giving vouchers, £5 off if you go for out of home. And then you get people that don't even give the option.
Exactly. Well, I think in a future recording, I'll share with you who I'm doing the bit of work with, because they haven't announced my participation with them yet, but they have a really novel solution and a really streamlined way of surfacing these options. The other thing as well is sometimes even when they have got out of home options on the website, the quality of the way the information is displayed doesn't necessarily help promote it. So if I'm offered a locker, I really want to know exactly where it is. If I'm offered a Pudo store, I want to know what the outside of that shop looks like. I want to know what the opening hours of it are. I want to know how to get there. I want to know if there's parking nearby. And there's a whole load of information that would be really helpful to have at that decision point. Because if I'm thinking, well, actually, I can either wait in all day, or that location is only 400 meters from me and there's parking right outside, and it's in a 24-hour outdoor location, or the shop is open from 5 a.m. till midnight, or whatever it is. If all of that is displayed in a constructive and visually pleasing way at that decision point, it will start to nudge people in that decision point.
What will be interesting? Let's see. I mean, again, it will be great to have some interactivity. If any of our viewers have seen really nice pages which show the sort of stuff that Gary's talking about, then it would be great to have a look. I think that I remember, I keep talking about Amazon, but they were really cool in terms of this sort of stuff. I remember when I was around there, they spent a lot of money and a lot of effort trying to get this right.
But they do. But they hide who the carrier is. I mean, one of the other considerations is sometimes I want to pick my carrier. So if I've got a good relationship with delivery driver X, I might want to try and put more work his way or her way, and I don't necessarily want to send it to delivery operator Y, and Y does stand for Yodel. They're going, so I'm not having a pop at Yodel for a change. But if you hide that away, how do I make an informed choice about what delivery?
Gary, I know why they do that, because one of the things that Amazon do, which is actually quite incredible, that certainly they used to do it when I was there. They will choose the carrier that is most likely to make the delivery promise work. So if something's gone wrong internally, these guys are amazing. What they will do, or at least what they did when I was there, they would choose a shipping option that you haven't even paid for to make sure that the parcel, as far as possible, arrives on time. So I think there's method in their madness. I agree with you personally. I'd like to have the choice. And I think one of the reasons that they don't do it is they had this super smart, it wasn't proper AI at the time, but it was a super smart piece of software that actually used to select the best option. But, I'm with you. I think that there should be more visibility. Things should be easier for the customer. And let's please, if anyone has got examples of sites where there's something that's really pleasing, easy to use and informative, then please share it. And we'll happily maybe talk about it in a future video. I might even let Gary make his plug for his client, if he's nice to me.
Well, you never know. Anyway, great speech, Marek.
Gary, I was looking at the subscriptions and realized that a huge number of our audience actually don't subscribe to watch our videos.
Really? That's outrageous. It's a bit like watching the BBC without your TV license. How can we keep it free if people aren't subscribing and letting us know they want more of this content? It's ridiculous.
And on top of that, if they're not subscribed, they don't get information about the latest hot episode where you can make one of your witty jokes and we can talk about something that is really important for our industry.
If I knew that a single act like that would make sure I got maximum time taking the mickey out of you, I'd be hitting subscribe in a heartbeat.
Well, look, so here we have it. Please, everyone, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your opportunity. Click right now. The button should be there, or maybe there. Do it now and have it done.